The early years of Friday Night Tights were just a hangout, in Gary's words.
We have the right chemistry. We have the right people there. We're genuine friends. We talk to each other all the time. We hang out as much as we can. And it is, I mean, to the very definition, just a bunch of friends shooting the shit for 3 hours. And that's...
But not all guests would warm up to its exclusive male cast, especially feminist movie critic Grace Randolph.
News. Row, row, row your boat down to Planned Parenthood before they're all shut down. Extremists on the right, that's you guys, are looking to shut down abortion clinics now. I went down to a Planned Parenthood and got a preemptive abortion in solidarity with all birthing people. But nobody is more disappointed than our very own Ryan Kinnell, who will now need to find a new place to pick up and drop off his dates on the weekend.
FNT was miles away from having a four-quadrant audience. This is how they attempted to fix this and nearly destroyed the show in the process.
The dream from life's ambition was to be a star. The public stand.
It was, are you interested in comics? That's the question. And the answers came back, and it was 50-50, men and women. Are you interested in comics? So that turned into, there are 50. Now, it's what they meant to say is potential. Well, guess what? There's always a potential. I made a concerted effort for years to try to get more women into the store buying comics, and more kids, more everybody. But after it took me 8 years to get my clientele, my subscriber clientele, it was 28, like 30% of my clientele was female. And that's after years of trying.
Gary's first attempt to garner a female audience was to invite on male feminists, believing it would entice more women to watch the show and steer the conversation to one women would be interested.
Michael and Michael from the Pussies.
Yes.
Podcast. It's a podcast about women, for women, by men.
And men who support
women. And we may not be here long, to be honest. This is quite a toxic, masculine normative bro down I've witnessed so far.
Michael, I counted now, and I would like to, African-American Garrett, you are excluded from this. I'm not speaking.
Male feminists would turn out to be a dead end. If FNT was to capture the mythical modern audience, it was going to require something more than inviting a couple of pussies onto the show.
I don't watch Star Trek, but tell me if I'm gathering this correctly. So they went from this to this.
Yes. Yeah.
The show would then pander to the LGBTXYZQ++ community by inviting the bisexual Brittany Venti and homosexual rock star Dan Vasc.
Here they come, and the crowd cannot wait. I apologize, 'cause we're probably late. Radical life, and highly organized. It's Friday Night Tights, Friday Night Tights.
In spite of the cornucopia of evidence in the mainstream showing the trend of straight women being drawn to gay men, what works in Hollywood does not always work on YouTube. The Dan Vasc gay experiment would fail to bring in any measurable improvement in women under the age of 55. FNT would have to change its approach to improve its female numbers. FNT would embark on trying to find a funny woman to include onto the show. As British author Christopher Hitchens would opine, it was going to be very difficult, nigh impossible, to find a feminine female comedian.
I say the problem with female comedians up till now is they tend to be either dykes or Jews or butch. Roseanne Barr, Sarah Silverman, etc., etc. And these are all forms of emulating male humor.
Christopher Hitchens' hypothesis can best be understood on this graph. From the far left being not funny, and as one moves right, they become more and more funny. From socially funny to financially viably funny, only a small percentage of people, even funny ones, are good enough to be financially viable as comedians. The problem arises when we add the dimension of feminine and masculine to the graph. In the example, we have a circa 2005 man show Jimmy Kimmel. We see he is firmly financially viable and in the masculine quadrant. However, if we begin to shift him up to current male feminist Jimmy Kimmel, he quickly shifts to the left. The estrogen-saturated shill cannot help but be less funny the more feminine he becomes. This is the cruel gender barrier. As a comedian becomes more and more funny, they become less and less feminine. Hollywood has been attempting to produce a female comedian that is both feminine and viably funny, and without success. This comprises the unicorn quadrant, because we know what it looks like, but do not think one exists. Friday Night Tights believed they had found their unicorn in Chrissy Meyer.
Eat Marmite, and you're like, oh, it's fucking disgusting. They're like, no,
It's the
you
same
should
thing.
Vegemite.
You should have some Vegemite.
Don't point that in my direction.
It might go off.
Ah! Oh no! She's got.
I was waiting for it.
Oh man!
I was waiting for it. I was
could
going to say it earlier, but I didn't want to jinx her. I'm like, she's going to fall off that fucking chair.
Are you?
But we adults know unicorns do not exist. But hey, she was close enough for government work, and F&T will take what they can get. Move a little more left. A little more left. That's about right. Yes, Dan Vasc, it is highly organized. And you can thank the much overlooked producer, X-Ray Girl, for that. X-Ray Girl grew up in the socialist dystopia of Canada and has always had a desire to be a social influencer, but was dissuaded by her father.
保証はないってことですかね。
何言ってるんですか。やっとの思いで生きて帰ってきたんでしょ。
仕方ないでしょう。このままじゃ3人とも飢え死にです。アキコだってこのままじゃ。
分かってるけど。
金さえあれば。金さえあれば。アメリカ製の粉ミルクだって何だって買えるんです。そのためだったら。
死んだらダメです。
X-Ray Girl would pursue a career as an X-ray technician. Normally, this would take years of study, but being this was Canadian socialist healthcare, she could do so from the comfort of her home. Being that she was Asian, she easily completed the 6 weeks of coursework in just 4 weeks and aced her online test. After a quick trip to Kinko's to print up her diploma, the X-Ray Girl became an X-ray technician. With her family's honor restored and having a full-time job, X-Ray Girl would work as an influencer on the side. She would push her father to connect her to other YouTubers.
What?
X-Ray Girl's dad, Alan Ming the Merciless, would begrudgingly direct her to Chris Gore, who would get her in touch with Nerdrotic, and she would land as a producer for FNT.
X-Ray Girl. Hi.
How
That
are
won't.
you guys doing?
It's good. That won't count against your 9 words.
The early years of FNT had a very restrictive budget, and due to the inferior Canadian internet X-Ray Girl was on, she'd be limited to just 9 words a show. X-Ray Girl would have to ration her words on FNT and make them count.
It's just one of those things where you just gotta kind of let it happen. Pop.
That's what she said.
Using them words efficiently.
Wow.
Yeah.
X-Ray Girl has earned some extra words tonight. There you go.
The X-Ray Girl would eventually prove her worth to the show and gain a coveted spot in the show's intro. With Chrissy and the X-Ray Girl in cast, FNT would draw in female YouTube influencers, many of them straight. FNT's female demographic would shoot up to almost 4%. Since the male audience doubled in that same span of time, they would realize the quest for the modern audience was in folly, and they should just cater to the male audience they have.
And still go. Okay.
It's not a different kind of fucking fan service, though. This makes no sense. You have a dude who, in one scene, literally killed everyone that she loved, including the little lesbian alien girl who had a thing for her. And then, in the very next scene, she's looking at his willy wang like, oh, I guess everything's fine now because dick solves fucking everything.
It does.
Feels good, doesn't it? Having it in your hands again.
Try it.
I mean, she's not wrong.
The damage had been done, FNT, which started as a portal into nerd culture, like Big Bang Theory Season 1, had now turned into Big Bang Theory Season 8, the season where everyone has a girlfriend and all episodes center around relationships and feelings in hallways. Basically, Sex in the City without gratuitous nude scenes from Kim Cattrall.
You don't know what sounding board?
No, I do not know.
Is this a thing?
No,
I'm an
it's
innocent
bad.
Christian boy.
It's like a
and
soundboard,
like
like
you
Very
fucking
bad.
All I know is Sammy has a
Somebody
big
gonna
grin.
explain?
He's
No.
really
Sounding
happy
is
about
when
this.
you put things in your urethra for sexual pleasure.
Ah! Okay. All right. Well,
I don't
never mind.
I
understand
feel like I'm
why.
doing it to disprove right now.
Yeah, it's not the sim.
Oh, no, stop it.
I think
You
my
leave him
worst-
alone.
See what happens
Leave
when you
him alone.
when you have too many when you do Friday night tits and you have too many women involved. This it
Hold
always
on.
devolves into a
There's
fucking
at least
sim
five
cast.
women
Right in the
here.
middle.
Gary had unleashed the modern audience onto FNT. We will have to see if he can pull back on the controls in time before it's too late. Next time on the True Hollywood Story Friday Night Tights, we explore how FNT dipping into politics ruined the show. Till next time.
Extra girl, what's the weirdest fucking tattoos you ever seen on tits?
I think I haven't seen a lot of weird tattoos. I've seen a lot of weird piercings.
All right. Let's hear it.
And
The weirdest is this lady. She had 8 piercings in her hoo-ha.
8?
8?
How is there room for 8?
Yeah. It was like
4 on
Room
each
for a
side.
dick after
6
that.
along.
4 on each side.
That's
The
birth control right there.
sides.
Yeah, her nickname
The-
was
the
Old
one,
UTI Yeasty.
One that goes through, and then a one that goes like this, like a hook. Yeah, there was a lot.
Wait, what?
Yeah, so you know the one that most girls get, the one across the, the
Yeah.
Just fucking say
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
and then
The clip?
one
We're
where
like-
the lip starts and it kind of hooks up.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that was a lot.
So she had the typical one and then like 2 down each side.
About 3 on each side.
3 on each side.
Rings, big rings.
The rings of power.
Someone could just like grab and
I'm just glad her dad never heard her.
I'd like to pause there and talk about our sponsor real quick. This is the AutoBlow AI. There's a link down below. Takes the burden off your partner. Michael, how has AutoBlow changed your life?
Well, Michael, as you know, Megan, my partner, and I are not having intercourse ever since Alyssa Milano called a sex strike to protest restrictive abortion laws in Georgia.
Wonderful.
We wanted to do more, so Megan suggested that I also not have intercourse with my own hands until all women all around the world have access to free, safe abortions. You don't need to use your hands. You plug it in, you insert, and then just set it and forget it.
Each setting plays a different one of my favorite feminists of TikTok.
If men did not exist, I would go to the store like this. But men still do it.
And that's the AutoBlow AI. AutoBlow AI. The ejaculate sleeve is dishwasher safe. And also comes with a cum scooper.